This is CBT News special coverage of the 2023 NADA show.
Hi everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick right here at the convention at NADA 2023 in Dallas, Texas. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm joined with Kevin Singerman, who's the CEO of AutoFi, and Kerri Wise, who is the CMO of AutoFi. Thank you so much for joining us, folks.
Thanks for having us.
Sure. How's the show going for you?
The show's great. I mean, I think there's great energy on the floor.
Yeah.
It's very well attended from all levels of OEMs, lenders, and dealers who are partners, so we're excited to be here.
Sure. For people that are not as familiar with your brand as we are, tell us a little bit about AutoFi.
So AutoFi is a commerce platform for dealers to be able to sell cars in a digital, consumer-friendly, transparent experience.
Okay.
And we power that with a network of lenders that create an automated, transparent finance process.
Okay. And this is something that every dealer right now is on the forefront of their mind, right? In terms of digital retailing, trying to make sure that the consumer has a frictionless experience, right? Talk to us about that, Kerri.
Well, yeah, you hear a lot about digital retailing, and it's been all the buzz over the last 5 years, really.
Yeah.
But I think what sets AutoFi apart is the financing piece, the innovation of financing, and you can't have an end-to-end transaction without financing.
That's right.
So for us, we're more than digital retail because we think of ourselves as not just commerce online, but also in the showroom.
Yeah.
And for us, one of our big focus areas at NADA is these showroom platforms and taking the power of digital retailing online and putting it in the hands of the salespeople.
Yeah, that's key. What we saw during COVID, obviously in the last couple of years, is a number of people who said, okay, we got to have a digital presence, right? And because digital retailing, modern retailing, depending on what you call it, became so popular in those first formative months of COVID. But at the end of the day, we are now realizing that consumers kind of want a hybrid of the two, right?
Yep.
You found that to be the case?
That's right. I think we went through a really interesting cycle. Beginning of COVID, it was hard to get to stores, so there was a wave of purchases and enablement of the website to service the customer. The past year was really challenging for the industry, right? Not a lot of inventory, right? And I think because of that, dealers were, I would say, sometimes less dependent on their outer store tools when they have very few assets, customers had to come in too, right? Now we're moving back to environment, more inventory on the floor, and so what the retailers are saying, telling us is like, hey, I've had a year where everyone's been buying from me, now I got to sell cars again, right? Help my staff with the tools to be able to do that.
We're back in the car business, right? I mean, and that's what dealers are concerned with.
Yeah, and I think efficiency is profitability. And we think of course, you want to enable consumers to shop online, do as much or as little as they want. But what about your sales team? There's a lot of inefficiency when it comes to the sales process.
That's right.
The back and forth to the desk. Salespeople aren't empowered. Even the F&I, right? There's a lot of bottlenecks.
We're still doing that and putting our consumers through that, right?
That's exactly it. And what we see from some of our partners who are empowering their salespeople with our technology in the showroom is that whether this is a green pea or someone really experienced, with technology, everybody's smarter, right? And you can first handle a first pencil and discuss numbers with the customer without having to wait at the desk to get a number. The technology is that accurate to be able to empower people to have those conversations.
Wow, that's fantastic. So, Kevin, you recently announced how you continue to expand and scale your partnership with Santander. Tell me about that.
Sure. I think what makes AutoFi really unique and how we approach this problem is that we believe creating a great experience for the dealer is innovation on both the retail side and finance side. And so what we're doing with Santander is we're really helping them digitize them as a auto lender to be really easy to do business with for the dealer in two primary ways. First is if they need to restructure deals, understand the specifications of more down payment, more term, they can easily do it at their fingertips now with our platform versus having to pick up the phone and call someone on the other line, right? Which makes a much more faster process to the sale. The other part is up front, if a customer walks in the store or now goes to a branded marketplace that they've created, is the ability to pre-qual a customer against all the inventory that the dealer has on their lot, so they know right away in an instant what cars that they've been approved for through the exact payment that could work for them and the dealer.
Nice. That's very nice. So in terms of this new consumer or customer experience focused on payment shopping, financing is often at the end of the process. What's the value in pulling the finance forward?
So I think when we think about one of the reasons we started this business, and we're from a financial technology background that's been doing this in other markets like mortgage, consumer lending, et cetera, was all about removing friction from the finance process, which in the automotive industry is typically at the end.
That's
it's
right.
the last thing you do.
That's right.
And other than price negotiation, it's typically ranked as like the worst part of the experience, right? So we said, how do we create an experience where we can surface that higher up in the consumer shopping experience in a way that works with the dealers or on the lenders that they want to do business with, all their markups and flats, but to be able to do that in a way that it's very easy for a customer to sort of navigate what is the right deal for them.
Right.
Well, and our experience enables a customer to get an instant decision in 60 seconds from multiple lenders.
Wow,
and that
that's
scares
nice.
dealers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
A dealer might say, no, I don't want that level of transparency, automation, because I'm not in control.
Okay.
What if the numbers aren't accurate?
Yeah.
Well, for us, relative to our other competitors, we're penny perfect. We are one of the most accurate in the business.
That's great.
It's controlled by the dealer, right? So their markups, right? Their lenders, their decisioning criteria. So it's very important for us to enable a transparent experience, but it also to be controlled by the dealer, where they're selling cars through the platform the way they would normally sell cars. The second part is profitability, right? There's a concern that, well, if I do business this way, if I enable my salespeople to use your technology in the showroom, or if I enable customers to do it online, I'm going to lose money. And we recently looked at the back-end profitability on AutoFi deals versus non-AutoFi, and we found that AutoFi deals have $200 more profit than non-AutoFi deals when we look across our dealers.
Right?
And that's $200. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you add that up across the number of cars you sold,
of course. Of
That's
course.
huge.
I'll take $200 as a retailer, and add that to the bottom line. And also not just the 200, but the customer's experience.
A faster experience.
That's right. That's right. Which means we're going to get more repeat customers. We're going to typically have them come back to the dealership for service, which, as you know, we suffer from that greatly. And because how many people buy a car from a dealership, and every dealer thinks, oh, they love us, they're going to come back and buy the next car. Not necessarily.
That's right.
They might be driving home going, that's the last time we're buying a car there, right? So it's important that there's technologies like this.
I mean, I think, we've got a long history of doing this. We started the company about 7 years ago, and as one of the early pioneers here, when everyone thought, oh, I'm going to be transparent, gross profits are going to go down. Right? And so, it took a while for the industry to start to adopt the products to actually realize if I'm transparent, I create trust with the customer, and they have a higher inclination to do finance with me.
That's right.
To protect the vehicle more, and actually it's a better, more profitable way of doing business.
That's right. And more referrals. When somebody has a great experience, what do? They tell all their friends and family, oh, you got to go to XYZ Motors because, I was in and out of there in no time. They made it easy. They told me it was going to be $452.21 a month, and guess what? It was $452.21 a month, right? And that's got to be a refreshing change for consumers.
We were just at one of our stores, Hello Auto Group, and one of the things they talked about was that it enables them actually to recruit from a wider set of employees,
I can see that.
right?
I can see
because a lot of their employees don't come from automotive. They've worked in Amazon warehouses and in hair salons and in professions that you wouldn't necessarily think would make them be good at selling cars. But they're selling 30 cars a month or more because the technology is guiding them through a collaborative first pencil. And they're building that trust, and they're able to lock in the yes earlier in the process than the back and forth that we typically see.
Talk to us about some of the other showroom companies, or I should say companies that are selling showroom platforms out there, and the challenges. What's the real deal there?
Yeah, I think, I spoke about accuracy, and that is a big one. There's a lot of digital retail companies that claim to have technology that works online and in the showroom. Online, you can get away with some inaccuracy because the customer is going to be online. That's a lead, in essence, for the dealership.
Right.
But when you're powering your showroom process and you're giving this platform to your salespeople to actually have discussions and negotiate, it has to be right.
That's right.
So for us, one of the things that we've received feedback on is we're accurate. But the second part is that we're flexible. That our platform can work with a one-price store.
Right.
It can work with our traditional store where
nice.
there is management involved.
Yep.
It can work in any process, and it's not linear because customers don't shop linear, right? So if they want to start on the trade, they want to discuss the payment, wherever they want to start, it's flexible to work in any experience. And our dealers tell us they like that because it's not a one-size-fits-all.
Yeah, and I can totally see where that you'd be able to bring in a different type of sales associate, one that doesn't want the confrontation, one that doesn't want to be the traditional car salesperson, but has got a tool like that, as to your point, that guides them through.
That's right. I mean, so, as an owner, I don't need to find the best salesperson out there.
Right.
I need to find the best customer service person.
Exactly
I can set the rules of the platform and guide them through a deal that works for me.
Yeah.
Well, the F&I director, we haven't mentioned them at all, but there's a lot of times some hesitance from them, like, are you replacing my job? And the answer is no. That our customers may come in and they may receive a decision, and it's a funded deal. We put it right into Route 1 or Dealer Track.
Okay.
But there's still opportunities to sell products, right? Our average customer will choose 2 products or so on their own.
Right.
But our F&I directors now have a funded deal in front of them and the ability to sell extra value. So we see it as not a replacement to F&I, but giving them the ability to do more and to spend their time on valuable things.
It's actually an enhancement to F&I.
It's an enhancement, absolutely.
And if the dealer doesn't have these types of tools like you're talking about, they're going to get left behind, as the industry gets back to kind of normalizing situation where, cars are coming back on the lot. You're discounting these vehicles. Now all of a sudden, every dollar of profitability actually counts. Before, last 2 years, it was like shooting fish in a barrel, and you dealers know what I'm talking about. But it's true. I mean, it really was. So now dealers need these kinds of
I mean, these platforms are going to help them be more efficient, do more with less. Like, that is the theme right now. Across the world.
That's right.
How do I sell more cars with fewer people and use technology to be able to support that?
Well, and the market, when we look at what's happening right now with interest rates rising, financing is going to become more critical for the customer.
That's right.
And understanding what they can afford. And so whether we're working with our dealers, whether we're working with lenders like Santander, OEMs, the idea of pre-qual and giving consumers tools to feel better about moving forward with the purchase experience is exactly where we're at in this market.
That's fantastic. So how is AutoFi uniquely positioned to help the entire industry going forward? I know you touched on a number of things already, but just kind of in these last moments, what would you point to?
I mean, I'd say it's the combination of retail innovation and lender innovation coming together, right? Most cars are financed, right? And we can't achieve what's possible in this market around it making more digital, more efficient, a better way to run the business if you can't bring both together. And I think what's important is that we respect how a dealer wants to do business. It's not a one-size-fits-all, right? And make it really flexible for how they want to run their store and just be able to change the technology around that.
Sure. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think for us, outside of working with dealers, the idea that we're working with all these entities within automotive, right? With OEMs, with lenders, with dealers, with marketplaces out there who are using our APIs. That's really important because the transaction involves all of these entities. And I think what's been challenging in terms of enabling digital and enabling a real transaction is that we're only focused on certain entities and not the entire ecosystem, and AutoFi sits in the middle of that ecosystem.
Very cool.
Good point.
Kevin Singerman, CEO of AutoFi, and of course Kerri Wise, CMO of AutoFi. Thank you so much for spending some time with us here at the CBT stage. Love to have you back in, maybe in the studio in Atlanta, do a follow-up, because these are the kinds of solutions that we want to be, featuring with our dealers, because it's going to be a unique 2023 as dealers try to navigate through it, and it's solutions like this that we want to be bringing them. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching our special coverage of the 2023 NADA show. Join the #1 most watched newscast in the automotive industry. CBT News, 10 years strong. Subscribe today.